these ordinances are passed and they are adopted, they will then move to what is called the local finance board for their approval. The local finance board, located in Trenton, approves all the state budgets, local budgets, county budgets, what have you. They would also have to approve a transaction such as these ordinances would authorize. There were certain dollars involved that would come back to the county. I can tell you right now, the amounts are not known yet because that is determined by the local finance board. And the board has made, if we get these particular funds, there's been no determination made as to how those funds will be utilized. Whether they will be allowed in the 2012 budget or how they will be utilized. So we cannot make any decisions on that before that's approved by the local finance board. So I wanted to say that now in case that question comes up. I can't tell you exactly the dollar amounts because that will be determined again by the local finance board and how those monies will be used. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Freeholder. We'll move on to the first ordinance, number 732, 2012. Mr. Clark, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 732, 2012. An ordinance authorizing the execution and acknowledgement and delivery by the County of Union of certain agreements in relation to lease revenue refunding bonds, Series 2012, County College Facility Project of the Union County Improvement Authority.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on ordinance 732, 2012 only. Please come forward and state your name and please adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chairman Marabella, ladies and gentlemen. Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garb, New Jersey. I appreciate Freeholder Sullivan's explanation that their costs are unknown at this point, but I guess I may ask this for every one of them, but obviously there is a cost involved somehow. Could you at least give a rough idea what the number is? Thank you.
Okay, Director Taylor. Or Attorney Bond.
Mr. Chairman, each of these, in the three ordinances, three deals, would each have a different issuance cost. However, the cost is netted out after the savings. In other words, on any of these ordinances, any of these transactions, in order to do them, the local finance board has a minimum amount of savings you have to achieve, which is 3% net present value net after the cost. So there's a savings after the cost, which is issuance cost, which is probably in the range. Each of it is different. Some are less, some are more. But at the end of the deal, if the deal is approved by the local finance board, it has to meet a standard. The county has to be saving 3% net present value of debt service over the life of the bonds, which is the savings out into the future, brought back today, calculated back at today's rate, that the minimum amount of savings you can receive is 3% after all cost of issuance are netted out.
So there's no real cost to the county except this.
Correct. You're receiving
the sale of the bond.
Correct. You're receiving a savings after all cost of issuance are included. You're receiving a savings and a reduction in debt service or a cash payment in lieu of a reduction that goes back to the county and reduces your obligation on the deal bonds.
So in simpler terms, it's like refinancing debt, is that right?
It's like refinancing your mortgage to a lower rate.
That's what I wanted to say. All right, thank you. Don't suggest you want to move too far. Are there any other questions on this ordinance?
Yeah, John Berry of Kenilworth. I have the ordinances here, all three of them. This one specifically goes to $27 billion. The other two are 21, 24, 20, 25. They total $73,335,000 in debt. You know, my question is, well, two questions. First, what is the outstanding principal of these three combined now? It's going to go to 73,335. What is it now? And I presume it's going to be over an extended period. I have no idea what the terms of these are now, but how many years in the future will each of these refinancings go? Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Hudak?
The amount of these ordinances, or the amount of the transactions, is equal to the amount of principal being refunded under the old deal. Refunding, you may not be refunding this year's, on certain ones you may start refunding it next year. Depends on when those bonds have their call date in it. Some have a call date of 2013, one has 2012, one is, was 2018, so you're calling those bonds that are callable. In terms of what was the other point? I forgot the total amount. The total amount of debt is not being increased. There's a, as I said, a net savings to the county after the transaction includes after the 3% of present value savings, and the life of the debt is not extended beyond the existing debt for various reasons, including generally tax reasons, that you cannot go out with more debt now and extend it many years beyond the existing debt. The transaction will pretty much mature within the life of the existing transactions.
Okay, is there anyone else that has questions? Okay, I'll close that portion of the meeting and ask Freeholder Sullivan to move ordinance 732, 2012.
Chairman, I will move ordinance 732, 2012 for final reading.
Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward for the purpose of commenting on ordinance 733, 2012 only. Kindly say your name and town of residence. And the reason of
Good evening, Chairman Marabella, ladies and gentlemen. The Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood, New Jersey. Obviously, this is another one very similar to the first one, but I learned some stuff from the first one that I now have questions. You're saying it's similar to a refinance, which I guess Attorney Hudak is saying it is, but I must point out that we went through refinancing at the UCIA, and with Dakotas Fitzpatrick was the attorney of record, and to tell you the truth, he fraudulently misrepresented numbers. I'm not saying Hudak is, but we had, the taxpayers had millions of dollars like just disappear like that. I pointed out to you guys did nothing about it, and he fraudulently reported it, and I'll tell you, I'm on record for that too. The second question is, Attorney Hudak was talking about the time is not extended at all, but I'm looking at callable dates of 2/12, 2/13, 2/18, so something's not right there, because it sounds like the time will be extended on a lot of these bonds. The third one is, obviously there is cost, but it sounds like it'll be covered by whatever savings, but I have to ask about what the professionals' costs are involved, such as like the bonding attorney, and if possible, if they're going to address it, I'd like maybe the total dollar amount for all three of those at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. I found two questions there, and Mr. Hudak, can you address those? About the time extension?
To answer the question on a time extension, there's a call date in bonds, and then there's the final maturity date. The call date and the final maturity date are two different dates. These bonds may go out to 2030, but they're callable when bonds are issued. There's a date in which you're allowed to call them early, generally because you want to be able to take advantage of favorable market conditions, which currently we have right now. You have some of the lowest interest rates in the municipal bond markets that have been around the 25 years or so I've been practicing. So when you issue bonds 7, 8 years ago at an interest rate, the interest rate's considerably lower now. You call those outstanding bonds that you can bring them in, call them, pay the bondholders 100% of their premium, and issue new bonds to replace them because the cost of the call, and that's how you get savings. But the outside maturity date, the same as when you have a mortgage. If you have a 30-year mortgage and you refinance it, but you don't want to change the 30-year date, you can go to a 15-year mortgage or a 10-year mortgage, whatever is applicable, so that your final maturity date doesn't change. In this case, the final maturity date remains the same.
Okay, good. Is there any documentation on the professional cost?
Again, I guess Freeholder Sullivan said you submitted to the local finance board, there's estimates in there, but those will change depending on what the local finance board approves, because costs are tied to whatever the size, ultimate size of the issue is. Until the local finance board approves that, we're not sure exactly what they will be, because they may be smaller or larger depending on what's approved.
All right, so after the local finance board makes a decision on that, then that information will be public.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Okay, John Burry, Kenilworth, 3 questions. First off, as if the time's not being extended, if the debt isn't being risen, the only thing could be interest rates. So what are the interest rates on these things? And what do you anticipate them to be, or with the sale? I don't know, but what's the interest rate environment now compared to what they are there? Oh, okay. The other thing is, what's the time frame for the local finance board? I mean, I assume the budget has to be adopted by May 31st, so is this critical to that adoption? Like if they sit on it, you won't be able to adopt the budget? Is that the deal? And the third thing is, well, Mr. Patterson mentioned fraud with the UCIA, and you know, I agree with him. I think it was the UCIA deal was a tremendous amount of debt added on to get $2 million into the budget, into the current budget. Is there anything like that going on here? Like if after the local finance board approves this, will anything be coming into the 2012 budget on account of this refinancing? That's it.
All right, Mr. Udak, can you give some commentary on the interest rates or the please come forward. I know you're wearing a full
I need to look this way. Chairman, unfortunately, I didn't bring all the past deals with me, so I don't have the scale showing the rates. They generally in the old bonds ran 5% plus. The projections from the underwriter in the current market is starting at the short end would be the first bonds out probably 1.5% to 1.75%, going up to 3 to 4% at the long end of the bond. So that's sort of a crystal ball. The market today changes every day, so by the time these deals actually come to fruition, those numbers may change.
Okay, good. To answer the other question about the local finance board, I believe they're considering this in the next week or so.
Mr. Chairman, the local finance board meets on May the 9th, and as I said in my earlier statement, the determination by the local finance board will determine whether there's dollars available to put into 2012. And we don't know that, and we don't, and as we said earlier, even if there is, there's no determination that as to what.
All right, I hope that helps. Anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward.
Good evening, freeholders. James Whitmer, Cranford. Would it be impolite for Mr. Hudak to come and divulge what the estimation of the professional fees that were submitted to the finance board would be for these 3 resolutions?
I don't think we have that information of what it would be. Not determined at this time because it depends on how the local finance board looks at the 3 different bonds.
But he submitted an estimate. I'm just asking what the estimate for those fees. Thank you.
Cranford, is there already an item in the 2000 budget for this?
No.
Chairman Marabella, ladies and gentlemen, the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garvin, New Jersey. It just keeps getting better. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, it's supposed to be no cost, possibly. There's money will be available. We don't know. Professional costs, gee, I don't know, an estimate was submitted, but we don't have the information. Yet we're here at a public meeting for the public to ask questions, and that, sure enough, would be one of the questions. I mean, you know, we're talking about evasive things. This is the problem. This is the problem the county has. Nobody knows any numbers. Nobody knows any numbers. That was much like this health benefits cost that we asked. And you had no idea, yet you voted on it. $100 million, that's going to cost the public. $100 million. Maybe more, maybe less. We rounded off at $100 million. This is the major problem. The county is lost. We're looking at a budget cycle that is disastrous. We're looking at Hudak, this guy, Attorney Hudak. Honestly, he's a poster boy, or one of them, for what this problem. No, he represents, let me just finish. Tell you what, I'll finish. Hudak's a relative. You're funneling professional fees into the relative's pocket, a freeholder relative's pocket. He's being evasive as to what costs possibly may be going into his pocket. But you're going to vote yes. I mean, I do appreciate at least formalities that freeholder Hudak's son is abstaining on this. But he's a poster boy. He's one of the poster boys. We have major problems here. You're funneling, the guy works full-time as an attorney for Linden, and yet here he is making some secondary income when he probably could have went to anybody else. No, actually, I have 5 minutes. I mean, I can go on if I want. But I tell you what, I pointed it out. You just want to funnel to the relatives, to the cronies, to the friends. That's why this budget is disaster. Disaster. You should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you.
Mr. Hudak worked for this county long before his son became
Yeah, John Berry, Kenilworth. Keeping up with it now, forget that. If you do get the money, and I appreciate a ballpark figure, is it completely up to the local finance board? But if you do get like $1 million or $2 million in the budget, is that going to go directly to, I don't know what you call it, rescind, take back, layoffs? I mean, what would be, if local finance board comes back with $2 million out of this deal, will there be 100 less people laid off? That's it. Or if you can give me a ballpark figure of what you're thinking, what you're expecting, what you're hoping, as far as the dollar amount that would cover the budget, which I presume will have to be redone if it does come. But that was it.
I don't know how many different ways to say that we don't know the final amount that will be returned until after the local finance board. We don't know what we're going to do with those funds as they are received. Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Please go forward.
Evening, Chairman, freeholders, Jim Bittner, Cranford. My question is not rhetorical. I actually will address it through you to the chairman of the Finance Committee. What fees were, estimates of fees were submitted? I would like the answer to that question. Please don't make me have to over it. I think I would like to have the answer here now tonight.
I don't know where we have that number.
What the board is approving here with what was approved by the Union County, that is that took place. Here this approves allows it to go to the local finance board. And that information will be available, as the chairman said, all the information on these and anything else, once these deals, if they are approved, and if they are approved, we'll have that information probably before the end of the month, next public meeting. And that information will be made public January.
They're voting on it tonight.
But there's an estimation of fees that have been provided. I actually just asked them to know what
We do not get that information.
I bet you I'll buy over it.
That is done by the
information.
You're not listening.
I
It's
am
done by the improvement authority. And that's all it's done.
Oh, you mean it's something that we can't offer because it's done outside of county government?
I did not say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said We will have that information. If you want to offer the improvements, I already have to do that through executive legislature.
But we're getting away from my question. My question is a very simple one. Could you please just divulge what the estimate of professional fees to be encumbered for Resolution 734, 2012? It's a simple question. And I don't know why.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward. Okay, I'll close that portion of the meeting and ask Freeholder Sullivan to move ordinance 734, 2012.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will move ordinance 734, 2012 for a final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise the same in accordance with the law.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second. Second by Freeholder Scanlon. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak? Freeholder Gallo?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski? Freeholder Scanlon?
Aye.
Freeholder Sullivan?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Vice Chairman